Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Brave Zone. I love having you guys here today because this is a very important topic to me. It's about how to be more customer centric in your marketing message. So it's all about you marketing. And I'll tell you the reason why I'm so passionate in this is because over the years of running my own business as a owner of a coaching firm, I recognize a few problems. I also coach coaches and train different kinds of service self-employed service professionals. So here's a few problems that I hope after this webinar you can overcome. The first one I think is the very fact that we are self-employed, that we don't have a lot of money and time and etc. But yet we waste it on unclear messaging. We also waste a lot of money on digital marketing without getting quality results. And I think that's a pity because in as much as I believe in digital marketing, I also believe that digital marketing needs to be done correctly. And when it is not done correctly, um, when you don't have the right foundation, i.e., you don't know your message, you don't know how to present yourself, then the amount of money that you spend in all these ads is actually not going to be effective because you're not going to get quality leads. And it's not the digital marketing's fault. It's not the digital agency's fault. It's because you are not clear on your messaging. And this is something that we want to make sure we address. The third problem is really you try to follow certain role models that you admire online, offline, maybe your colleagues, maybe your mentors, right? But somehow you can't do it as well as they can. So what that leads you to do is try to clarify the message yourself. You try to do it yourself, but you're not getting anywhere because in my experience, also clarifying my message, there's a lot of things that I cannot see for myself because I have a blind spot about me, myself, and who I am, my essence, how I feel in my audience, etc. And trying to clarify it yourself sometimes doesn't help. It just takes a lot of time. The problem with all this, if you continue down this path, you start having this self-doubt. You doubt your dreams of having a fulfilling self-employed life, or being a coach, or being a graphic designer, or being that self-employed entrepreneur that you've always wanted to be. And you start doubting your own ability to do that. And that, I think, is the ultimate problem because a lot of you actually have a lot of things that you can contribute into this community. However, you need to make sure you understand the essence and who you are and how you come off and what message do you want to express to the audience. What audience do you want to serve? And it's not everybody. The answer is not, it's never everybody, because if you try to serve everybody, you serve nobody. So this is the problem that we hope that this webinar can start to solve for you. What I will be sharing is a system that I have personally used and gotten results from that has increased my clients' result. And this is a survey from 4 out of 10 to 9 out of 10. Confidence in what? Confidence in their business, confidence in their products and services, and confidence mostly in themselves. All that self-doubt has been removed because of this. And the time saved is very important for me because, again, as self-employed, we don't have a lot of time. You don't have a lot of time. I mean, hanging out with me in this webinar is already amazing, and I'm very grateful that you're here. But it's saved them, they said, about 6 months to 1 year of time trying to figure this out by themselves. So I will be sharing this particular system with you. If you calculate the monetary value of your time, and I'm assuming you're at a service professional like you should be charging about 100 to 150 per hour pounds, then you're looking at about 6 months, about 160 working hours per month, times that much money per hour at least, right? Some of you are charging more, and that's great. Then you're looking at a value of 144,000 pounds saved by having someone give you that system for you. Okay, so 144,000. Wow, what a big, even if you can save half of that, even if you can save 3 months trying to figure this out yourself. I mean, for sure, for me, it has made working with someone to discover this for me has saved me at least 6 months because it is very difficult to see yourself the way other people do. Okay, so that's the stuff that I'll be sharing with you today. I want you to get the tools for that. It is a task, it is a set of tools, it is a system that will clarify your strengths and your style and how you position yourself and your genius. And that's why you get greater confidence in your own yourself and your services. It is a very quick system. It doesn't take months and months, it doesn't take years to figure yourself out if you have a tool to do it. And it grabs your essence. You know, the problem with you trying to be like somebody else is because you're not like them. And it's the essence of you that we want to get. And it's not what you aspire to be. Okay, just make this clear in your notes. You are not here to market who you aspire to be because you're not there yet. You're not trying to be somebody. Nobody's going to pay for your services if you're just still trying to be that. You, if you are past a certain age, you already have an essence. You already have a unique set of skills and strengths. That is what we're trying to get. That is what the market will pay for. And it is asking the big awkward questions that you possibly don't want to answer for yourselves. So it is that system that I want to share with you. So the key message here is, in as much as we want to market our services, we want to sell what we offer, you need to invest in building up the product. And the foundation of your business is, for self-employed service professional, is your product. Who is your product? You. So invest in understanding about yourself before investing in marketing. Some of you are doing this in the reverse. I have had, I always offer brave discovery calls, which are, diagnostic sessions basically for 30 minutes to understand a little bit about your business. Some of you are coming in and saying, I've spent thousands of pounds, dollars, or whatever your currency, in marketing. I am now taking digital marketing courses, or I have hired a digital agency to help me, and it's not getting me quality leads. It's because marketing is only amplifying a message. And they'll do that through ads, they'll do that through different tools, remarketing, etc. But what is that message? If that message is vague, your money's been wasted. Now, I also work with a digital marketing consultant. I've worked with digital marketing consultants for years. I believe in what they do. But one of the realizations that I had why sometimes what I invest wasn't working, it's not their fault. It was my ability. And my also realization with them is that most of them are tech marketing people. They are digital people, very good with analytics, very good with the technology behind it. But you can't be everything to everybody. What they're not good at is diving deep into you. They're not psychologists. They're not coaches. They're not, they could be coaches in what they do digitally. They're technically able. But in order to get into you, you need someone who can understand people, not things, not tech. Okay, so there's a clear distinction about working with someone who can help you with the marketing and help you with the product. So this session, I'm not going to talk about digital marketing. I'm not that person. I am not a digital marketing person. I hire digital marketing experts to help me. I will talk to you about you as the product. So that's what we're doing. A little bit about me. I tend to get a little bit overboard and then I realize, oops, I haven't really told you about myself. Some of you, this is your first time in my Brave webinar, so welcome. I have over 20 years of business achievements. That's what enables me to mix business acumen with psychology, because sometimes when clients come to me for help, sometimes they have a business issue and we can talk about finance, marketing, systems, operations, everything like that. But sometimes it's a mindset issue. It's how they see themselves. It's what are the mindset strategies they put on that maybe they're not mentally strong, maybe they're not resilient enough, maybe they've got a different worldview that needs to be somehow corrected in order for them to be successful. So that's what I mix. I'm a graduate of psychology, but I've also been in business for 22 years, helping businesses grow, turning around businesses in Fortune 500 companies, as well as in my own businesses. And that's my background. So I now own 2 coaching companies in Indonesia with 6 coaches with different styles and strengths. As a firm owner, I had very little time to market myself. All I was doing is marketing these wonderful people. Okay. I had 6 coaches to market. They are one of the best. They are the best in Indonesia, I think. That's just my bias thing. But they all are very unique. You've got someone there, like the one gentleman on the top left, he's very good with family businesses. You've got the gentleman on the top right, he's very good with scale ups and team engagement. In the middle, he's a very good detailed finance person with a strong HR background, different style, very good with people who need that structure and who need that nurturing. Whereas other coaches that I market, they can be quite direct with people. They have a different style of communication. So in the 12 years that I was building this business up, first with some partners and expanding it, I also learned that you can't you can't use a cookie cutter to market people. I mean, we all belong to a franchise, a very good business coaching franchise called Action Coach. But just because you belong to a franchise, it doesn't mean that everybody is the same. And I think that's the difficulty. I mean, some of you may have taken, for instance, certification, like Marshall Goldsmith Leadership Coaching Certification, ICF Certified Coaching, or maybe you're a Gallup coach, or whatever you're doing, or maybe you've got other certifications for different things. Some of you maybe are interpreters, and you've got different certifications for being an interpreter, lawyer, etc. But you're different. You've got to know your own style and understanding the feel of it. And when I teach my business development managers, my salespeople, to sell the coaches, right? I ask them to have lunch with them. I ask them to dig into their life story. I ask them to understand them as a person, so that you can feel, whenever you see a prospect, who do you think will match this prospect? When you're in a self-employed service industry, no matter what industry you're in, there's also always a bit of chemistry that goes into the decision-making process. It's not just about your technical abilities. So that's my background. And that's why I realized that everybody's different. I've learned to be able to extract people's superpowers and strengths so that they can be more confident in themselves. There's no point comparing you with other people. You are you. And there's a lot of beauty in what you are and what you do. So my objective is to help you clarify your message and attract the right audience. And get this, I want you to repel the wrong ones. Okay, I want you to be so unattractive to the people who are not worth your while anyway. They do not belong in your target audience. They could be great for other people to serve, but not you. And you need to make that distinction, and you need to let go of the need to serve everyone. Seth Godin is a guru in marketing. He wrote a classic book, really, called This is Marketing, orange cover. It's available on Amazon, audio version, physical book version, Kindle version. Go and get it. It's a great book about the concept of marketing and how to attract the right quality audience. And if you are a great marketer, your message should also repel the wrong audience. Okay, so you want to serve only a small viable market. Because if you think about it, you don't have time to serve the world anyway. How many clients can you really take? We've got 65 million people in the UK. How many clients can you really take? Do you really need all 65 million? Or maybe some of you are like, oh, I want to serve the world. Really? You've got like 30 hours a week effectively to actually deliver your service. The other 10 hours, let's say you're doing admin, sales, business development, etc. How many clients can you actually serve? So let's get real. That's part of the process that I will take you through later, is identifying who is the market you want to serve. So all this time, I've also worked with service professionals who are in self-doubt, who have imposter syndromes, whatever you want to call it. But basically, they're living in the fear zone, the fear of not being good enough, the fear of not being loved by the market, the fear of failing, right? And all this is getting you stuck. Even if you're an experienced business person, there is a time when you're trying to get to your next level, you feel stuck. And most of your frustration and worries is coming from your fears. So that's why I call my company the Brave Zone, so that we can step you out of the fear zone and into the brave. So today what we will cover are 3 things, and hopefully later we'll also have some time to chat. That's why I'm trudging through all these things a bit, flowing through these things, so that I want to get some interaction out of you. I want to cover a few things. Let's talk about your limiting beliefs. Where does self-doubt come from? okay, about yourself, your capabilities, your values. I want you to understand a little bit more about that. Then we'll talk about that exciting, proven 3-step process to be more customer centric in your marketing message, including how to build a story of your customer journey when they use your products or services. Okay, so that's what we will do. I want you to please utilize the chat box right now. I will not be checking it regularly, but I'll do what I can because I've got multitasking challenges as well. But I want you to use the chat box and help me out a little bit. What is your biggest challenge in marketing yourself? Help me out a little bit, because whatever I can read in the chat box will always help me to cater the content of this webinar. I don't want you to get an off the shelf product. I want you to get a bespoke product based on what you need. So put in your answers now, please. I'm looking at the chat box right now, and there's quite a few of you on this call. So please put in your answers. What is the biggest challenge? Is it self-doubt? Is it not really understanding what your message is? What is it? Tell me more about that. Okay. And don't be shy. I mean, everybody's got issues. I've got an issue. I definitely got a lot of help from consultants and coaches, and I've been doing business as a coach for 12 years out of my 22 years. And I've worked with, I've worked with about 10 coaches from all over the world. I've worked for one in the UK, Australia, US, and I have just gotten so much value out of them. You know what you're good at, but you're so programmed not to brag that I can't say it out loud. Oh, yes. Who is saying that? Who is saying that to you, that you can't brag? Who is saying the word brag anyway? We'll talk about self-doubt. We'll talk about overthinking yourself later. Thank you very much. Lack of know-how. Okay, so I think one of the things I want to get across here is also a little bit of the tools and know-how. You'll get that through this webinar. Finding the right target audience. This is a thing. The great thing about going into your own business is you get to pick who you want to work with. When you were working for corporate and the company gives you clients, it's like you love them or you hate them, you got to serve them. But here in your own business, you have the right to choose your audience. So what my best criteria for when people ask me, who is your target market? Of course I'll say self-employed people, blah, blah, blah. But sometimes if I get a little cheeky, I said, I work with people I like to work with. I work with people I respect in terms of their business ethics. I work with people that I like talking to. Okay. And this is really a no-brainer qualification for me, because some people are just, that when they give you more negative vibes and positive vibes, you just, why do you even want to work with them? Money is not worth it. Okay. Struggling to find the right words for the audience. Excellent. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about Oneliner as well. Don't know which one to focus first. Gentleman by the name of Brendon Burchard, he also helps experts to market themselves. I've taken a few of his courses. He said, many of us are so good at doing many things. So the question is not about who do you want to serve, but who do you want to serve first? And when I help clients to understand that about themselves, there's actually a lot of things that you already, it's funny because when I ask people who do they want to serve, they come up with the answers quite quickly. So actually in your head, you might already know who you want to serve first, but sometimes you can't focus because of your need and worry that that market is too small. Now, I want you to release that worry from yourself. One of the things I get my clients to do is to calculate how many hours in the day they actually have to serve clients. And then they'll figure out they probably only need 20 clients a month, and they'll be completely flat out busy anyway. So there's no need to worry about that. Yeah, based on, some of you have surveyed people or talked to people. They've given you some negative perceptions about yourself. Oh, you're intimidating. Oh, you're too this, you're too that. Remember, your job as a great marketer is to attract some people and to repel some people. Now, I'm not saying that you don't need to grow. Maybe if you are coming off the wrong way, you do need to develop yourself a bit further. I definitely do. But there's also a limit to how much you need to listen to people. Okay. And absolutely, if you, like, I have a direct, I just got a testimonial yesterday. You can see it in my LinkedIn. Tammy is a great life coach in Bristol, and she gave me a testimonial, and I know what she was referring to. She asked me to coach her to cut through her bullshit sometimes, because she lies to herself and justifies unimportant activities. And there were some instances when our coaching session, I was very direct with her, and there was a time where I need to back off a little bit, but she also needs to understand that I'm being honest for her own good. The great thing about her was that she's my like one of my best clients, because she just takes it in, and she doesn't criticize me for being direct and honest. She actually appreciates that. However, I know that I cannot coach overly sensitive people. I cannot coach people who is offended with directness. Okay. And I, in as much as I need to grow in my communication skills as well, there's also a certain market that is not right for me. And that's why in my firm we have this coach. Her name's Unita. She is super nurturing. She'll tell you what you need to improve, but in such a soft, roundabout way. I give all those kinds of sensitive clients to her, because they would die in my presence. But anyway, so that's great. Thank you for all your comments. Yeah. Let's keep going. Right. So this tool will get you more clarity and purpose as a coach. I think purpose is very important, and I want to cover a little bit more about that, because a lot of your self-doubt is coming because you don't have clarity on your purpose. So when you don't know what you're after, you don't know what you're all about, you're always just thinking about how negative you are and how weak you are, etc. So let's talk about that. Write this down. Marketing you is not just about you. Inasmuch as many successful people, when you log into their website, it's all about their big face and their shiny suit, and they have all these award logos all over the place, featured in Forbes, featured in this, featured in that. And then they'll have all these testimonials, and it's all about them. That's celebrity marketing. But for the most part, for the general public, marketing you is not about thinking too much about you. Self-doubt actually comes from thinking too much about yourself. If you think of it, you are in the service business. You should be thinking more about what the customer needs, their challenges, their frustrations, their struggles. And you should be using your skills to help them. Self-doubt comes. Just think of the last time you had self-doubt. Who are you thinking about? Yourself or your customer? I don't know about you, but whenever I have self-doubt, I'm thinking about myself. I'm thinking about, will they like me? Ooh, I just wrote this article. Is it good enough? Is my article good enough? Will people like my post? Oh, I'm going to make this speech. Will people praise me? Right? Am I good enough? It's never, when you're in self-doubt mode, there's very little thinking about other people. I don't want to be perceived in the wrong way, but if you have a lot of self-doubt, you've got too big of an ego. Ego, I want to define, I'm not saying you're arrogant or anything. Ego, by definition, is the identification towards yourself. It's self-centeredness. It's attaching things to yourself. Everything is all about you, isn't it? Okay? People with high egos suffer self-doubt all the time. Okay? They need to detach themselves from whatever situation. It's not about you. It's about actually contributing to the target market. Think about them. When you invest more time to think about other people, you have no time to think about yourself. Today I was quite busy, and today I was like, okay, I want to have a chill out kind of webinar. I'm not wearing any earrings. I'm just kind of being very simple. I'm going to do some exercise later, so I'm going to show up in my little fleece jacket. I don't know if you can see me. I don't know where my video is, but whatever. But basically, I'm not thinking about myself. I'm thinking about, oh gosh, this is a great topic. I want to share it to people, right? And maybe that's why people come to my webinar again and again, okay? And maybe that's why I don't have much self-doubt these days as I used to when I was all thinking about myself. So what is the cure for self-doubt? 2 pills. Number 1 is clarity. Clarity about you, your purpose, clarity about your mission, clarity about your limiting beliefs, clarity about that. And number 2 is purpose, especially purpose. Again, when you're self-doubting, you're thinking here, you're thinking inside, and I want you to start thinking outside. What is the impact you want to create? And let's learn from Simon Sinek. He's got a great template called the Golden Circle. When you want to erase self-doubt, we need to take you on this journey to understand your why. Let's talk about why. In the Golden Circle talk, he talks about an effective brand, Apple, basically, and how they beat people like IBM, brands like IBM, in terms of selling hardware, selling computers, selling gadgets. What he said was a lot of brands actually focus on their product. Here's my computer, and they, in the ad, the computer flips around and there's all these specs and stuff, or there's great pictures of the computer. That's your what. This is what I sell. Okay. But they don't give you the brand essence. What is the brand essence of IBM? I mean, if you ask me now, I don't know. But what is the brand essence of Apple? Apple doesn't start with their products. Apple starts with their why. Their commercials, if you remember, are people dancing on the street. When the iPod first came out, I remember, first of all, what we noticed was the white cable. Cables used to be black. The white headphone cable, an almost invisible, small song player. I mean, we're used to the Sony Walkman, basically, right? But now this pocket-sized small player, you can just slip it in. Nobody will see that you're actually carrying a song player. And everything was really cool. And then the people on the ad was dancing, enjoying life and everything. Apple was all about cool, was all about think differently, was all about innovation and making things really user-friendly. That's their why. I mean, I have a MacBook now. I went into iPhone right after Nokia, kind of didn't work anymore. Why Apple? Because I'm not tech savvy. Apple kept it simple for me. One button. I don't need to press too many buttons. Okay. So the why was making things, the interface user-friendly and thinking differently about design. And how do they express that why? They create user-friendly interface. They have cool designs. They make things, really slick and different than any other brands. That's their how. And what's their what? Oh, they sell iPad, MacBooks, iPods. Okay, so the what is just your products. But what's your why? Okay, my why, I will share with you my one-liner because I always feel that I need to share what I do so that, I practice what I preach. It took me a long time to find my why, And going back to your why is not about, again, it's not what you aspire to be. This is where people get the find your why thing, that they get it all wrong, right? And unfortunately, you can't just read a book and do it yourself. It takes sometimes a deep conversation. The why, like I found for myself, if you look at how I actually wrote a story about my life. I wrote down all the incidents that happened, the high impact incidents, and what it meant to me. And I thought about my why. I said, you know what? Through all my life, my 46 years of life, I've always had this essence that I've always got to be the best person I can be. Not the best person in the room, because that's just comparing yourself to other people. That's stressful. But the best version of myself I can be. But there was also another why. It was always contributing to people. I was never inspired by the whole dream board of having a yacht, a helicopter, a big house and everything. It wasn't always about me. I want a great life because I want to contribute outward. Okay. So that's my why. So it's always being the best that I can be and contributing at my very best. So that's my why. Right. and helping, and that entails a lot of personal awareness about what is my best, what am I good at. That's my why. That's what I've always been. Okay. How do I express my why? I live at my very best. So I try to keep healthy. I try to do good. I try to everything. And then the business that I'm in is basically helping people, and coaching people to contribute at their very best as well. What do I have? I have a webinar, I have books, I have workshops when the lockdown is all over. I have service A, service B. That's just my products. The what is almost like, yeah, that's the last thing we can think about. But when you want to get rid of self-doubt, I want to challenge you to understand more about your essence and stop comparing yourself to other people, okay? And understand how you express your essence. And I use the word diggable. That's all diggable. We can dig through that. Don't worry about that, okay? And to be fair, it's not a process that I have achieved on my own. I have had help as well, okay? The next thing you have to understand, and this is away from self-doubt, and I want to bring you to the tools that I personally have found very effective in digging through my clients' uniqueness, finding their voice, finding their strengths, giving them back that confidence of who they are, getting them to connect with their genuine self. Quite simply, Ikigai. Many of us have read the book. Many of us may have heard of the term. It's a Japanese concept. It's your sense of who you are. It's your sweet spot, basically. Basically, you have to understand. I always start with the green. What are you good at? Because that's logical brain. That's easy. And some people who are more emotional, I start with, what do you love, right? But it's all about digging through, what are you good at? And this is when I developed this process, I was actually called to help a Chamber of Commerce to develop a transferable skills coaching process, because a lot of people are being laid off, being furloughed, whatever, and they want to make sure some people who want to get into entrepreneurship or get into a different career track understand their transferable skills. So I'm Googling, transferable skills coaching. How can I help people understand the transferable skills? Honestly, very disappointing. Very disappointing. Everything was just so simple. It is as if you only have 10 transferable skills that you can use elsewhere. And I was not satisfied with that. I found that in my experience, at least, about living my life and also helping people get the best out of theirs, we're much more complex than that. It's not just about checking transferable skills, and it's not just about skills. It's also about passion. It's also about what lights you up. It's also about what have you been proven to be successful in your life. Okay, so I develop a coaching process for people in transitions. I develop that coaching process with this Ikigai as a tool. And I'm not smart enough to make my own tools, okay? So I give credit when credit is due, and I'll use tools that are proven. I find life is simpler that way. I don't have an ego about having a Cynthia Wihardja tool. So I just like to use what works. But I find this and the two other things that I will share with you has helped a lot of self-employed service professionals really, as my graphic design client said, put their essence into their business. What are you good at is an important point. Why? Because you're trying to sell something at a pretty decent price. You're going to have to be good at something. And this is my other criteria for working with clients. I don't want to work with clients who are just starting to get good at stuff. A lot of my clients are experienced people who've had some level of success. Maybe not in this current business. Maybe this business is new, but in the past work or business life. They've got to be good at something, because when you start marketing yourself as a self-employed professional, you can't be trying it out. You got to add value. And I don't like people selling things and promising things they cannot deliver. So what are you good at is something that we dig together. And again, this business may be new, but you should have some kind of track record before. Maybe you worked for 5 years somewhere and you've achieved something like that. Okay. So we'll dig that out of you. It's amazing that what are you good at may not even be relevant to the industry you want to get into. A coach of mine, he's not in the picture because he was a coach that worked with us for a while, but he's no longer working with us. He was a journalist by profession. He had a lot of good connections, etc. He's very passionate in coaching, and he joined us as a coach. He has a 20-something-year-old child at the time, son at the time, and who was a national athlete, very, very good. And if you see him, he was in his 60s, and he also looks very good. Okay, this coach. But he wanted to be some kind of a business or leadership coach, but he was a bit in self-doubt because he himself did not have corporate leadership experience, or he never owned a business, etc. So when we were finding his ikigai, what you're good at came in the form of how good he was as a father, how he kept his personal discipline about his health, how he coached his son to achieve national awards in athletics and everything. So that was really a transferable coaching skill to help him be a better coach here. And it gave him the confidence to say, right, even though I've never been a formal corporate leader, blah, 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 I have what it takes to coach someone to be really good at what they do. Okay, so that was what he was good at. So again, we play around with that a little bit because for some of you, you are getting into a self-employed business, perhaps that's slightly different than what you're used to doing. And I just want to say that you actually have a pool of talents and achievements that we may just need to dig out together. What you love, obviously, is your passion. If you're good at something and you don't love it, I mean, it'll be hell to go through that business. So it's important to dig that out. Then the question is what the world needs. And before that question, I usually ask, well, what world do you want to serve? Again, what clients do you want to serve? What clients do you care about? What problems do you care about? What do you lose sleep over thinking about it? And you have the right to pick your own target market. I mean, nobody's telling you to serve anyone you don't want to. And then here's the essential questions. What can you be paid for? It's amazing that if you go through this ikigai, you learn so much about yourself, what you should get into, what you should stay away from. And also you learn so much about, the what kind of products you can put in your product list, what kind of pricing you should be charging for them, and what kind of clients, obviously, that you want to serve. So it's a great tool. Then, ikigai is one thing. And ikigai is about you, isn't it? Well, at least 50% is about you. And then we'll go into your market. The next one is the story brand template by Donald Miller, which we probably can read books about. But again, it's helping you implement it. But what he talks about, when you are helping clients, it's all about taking them through a journey. Here's your client. I want to reach a dream, but I've got some challenges. It's a typical client. I don't care if you're a lawyer, a doctor, a coach, or a journalist. I don't care what you do. The clients pay you money to solve their problems. Okay? So what will be your client's journey with you? And we talk about a few things. We need to understand more about them. So building your brand story is not about, look at me, here's my achievements, I've got 22 years of this, I'm so cool. Okay, because if you do it that way, there will be a lot of self-doubt that's blocking you. It's all about them. I want to serve this client, and they have this problem. Okay, and the problem creates certain challenges, internal challenges, as well as external business challenges for them. Internal emotions, negative emotions, as well as external business results for them. Okay. It's also about their concerns. It's also about you. How do you tell me how you understand me as a client? Okay, so that's what your client is asking you. Okay, I get it that you're so cool, but show me how you understand and empathize with me. And then show me how you are qualified to help me. So this is the part about you. Okay, and this is what we dig out. Then tell me about your process. Okay, so I've got a dream. I've got some challenges. I want to hire you to help me. What will we be going through? That's got to be clear. I want to make a shout out right here because one of the things that my clients get out of working with me is the realization that in a service business, you are selling something that is invisible. It may not seem invisible to you, but that's because you're selling it. It's your product. You're kind of biased. But to the market you're serving, it's invisible. You can't touch it. It's not like you're selling a pointer or something. You're not selling a computer. You're not selling a bag of coffee beans. People can't put their hands on it. And sometimes the problem with selling intangibles, people don't know how to place value on things that they cannot see. So having a clear process, clear product ladder will help make the intangible visible, tangible, touchable. Okay, so this is what we're trying to do. And yes, it's all part of the story brand. Yes, we do get that comprehensive with it, because it's not just about giving you motivation and rah, and ooh, you're such a genius, but how do you turn that into a product, a business product that you can sell and price and value? Okay, so it's about your process. Okay, and it's also about their transformation. So after all that, we've got the ikigai, we've got the brand story. The last thing I help you with is basically your one-liner. Why is that so important? It's the old elevator speech. You go to a networking event, hey, what do you do? And you've got basically 2-3 sentences that you can blurt out. I don't know why Donald Miller calls it a one-liner, because it's not one line, but it's 3 lines, but that's all right. 2 to 3 lines doesn't make a difference. But your one-liner comes at the end. Your one-liner is kind of the summary of the ikigai, the why, and also the story brand. Okay, so that's why we do it at the end. It doesn't take too much time. I'd say ikigai usually takes me about two hours to dig from you. I mean, depending on people, 2 to 3 hours. The story brand, because I give you some prep work before, it's basically 2 to 3 hours, mostly 2. And then some people even do it in an hour and a half, and then we spend the last half an hour on the one-liner, because it's all getting there. It doesn't have to take too long, and the important thing is for you to understand the theory behind it first before the session, so that we can do it very quickly. Here's my one-liner, for instance. Okay, many self-employed people struggle to explain what they do to the right audience. I help self-service professionals clarify their message and market their strengths so they can do business with ease and confidence. Okay, so the blue line is the problem. The orange line is the plan, the process that I take them through, or the thing that the way I guide them. And then the green one is the benefit. Simple, right? Yeah, try coming up with that by yourself. But it's very simple, and this is where I do a little shortcut, because I'm very good at writing. I don't know why, I just come up with words and string sentences together quite well, and especially if I get to know about you more, it's very easy for me to kind of pull out that one sentence for you. Sometimes I let my clients do it, but most of the time we get started together, I end up writing the finished line for you, because it's just easier, faster. Okay, and some people are not into writing, so why torture them, basically? So I compliment that for you. And of course, you're welcome to edit the final version if you want, but this is the way I make it a bit faster. Your one-liner is very important, because typically all of you will have some kind of website, some kind of brochure, some kind of business card, some kind of networking event where you get to introduce yourself. One-liners are things that you memorize. I mean, if you have a team, for instance, everybody should be memorizing your one-liner. Okay, instead of I, of course, you'd say we, right? And that's very important. I want to give you some examples of people, and then hopefully we'll have about 5 to 10 minutes to discuss. Okay. Lydia is an executive coach, not her real name, obviously. She is a foreigner. She moved to the UK, and she's had some expat experience, but and now she wants to market herself as an executive coach. Having been an executive coach before, having marketed executive coaches before, having sold lots of executive coaching contracts before, I asked her, what the heck do you mean by executive coach? There's like a ton of them out there. Okay, what makes you different? And because I knew she had a bit of a extra challenge. She was a foreigner. She needs to assimilate to the UK culture. She needs to be different. Yet at the same time, the market was a bit flooded. Okay, so the executive coach thing, we dug through her ikigai, we dug through her story brand, and what she realized that based on her passion and the problem she loves to serve and her own personal life experience, she realized that she was an executive coach and she wanted to coach professional women in Fortune 500 or multinational companies to become global leaders, especially professional women coming from Turkey and the Middle East, trying to assimilate to UK culture. That's her niche. Okay. Now imagine you're an HR professional, you're looking for an executive coach for your team. You've got a lot of profiles you can look at, LinkedIn or brochures that people send you. Executive coach, whatever certified executive coach. And then you meet this woman that says, I am an executive coach, but I always only serve and I only want to focus on professional women leaders in their age range, right? 30s to 40s, looking to get ahead. And they are expats. They have two challenges. Number one is to assimilate to UK team culture and synergize the UK team, despite the fact that they don't come from the UK. And secondly, they also need to climb up the leadership ladder. It becomes very specific. What happened with her is that her confidence increased. Her confidence in herself and her confidence in what she's going to do increase. I didn't give her any extra coaching tools. She's already got a Marshall Goldsmith certification, etc. The best in the world, great, you know. And I used her process before, so I know that it works. So it's not about giving you that technical skills to do your job better. I assume you know how to do your job better. However, what it gave her was a lot of confidence to market herself in a very specific way. Since then, she has uploaded lots more content, been much more confident in the way she speaks about her business. And I think that's very important. Amy, a graphic designer, not her real name. But again, I call her the graphic designer. She's actually what happened during the coaching process. And she actually got very emotional towards the end because she was very touched by what she discovered about herself. She realized she's not a graphic designer. She's a campaign strategist. Amy has struggled with low fees and getting enough revenue out of her business for a number of years. Okay. But she always had an imposter syndrome because she said, I'm not good enough because I don't graduate from graphic design schools. I self-teach myself. I self-taught myself graphic design because I liked it and she had a natural knack for it. But again, all that imposter syndrome got in the way of her success. What we discovered was that graphic designer, if you think about it, graphic designer is a dime a dozen. It's a commoditized industry. It's a commoditized service, okay? However you try to shape it up, I mean, how much are people gonna pay for graphic design? And when we took her through her ikigai and her story brand, she realized that she had more than that. Actually, the first thing she realized was that what she thought was a weakness was actually a very good natural strength. She said, I'm an introvert. I'm not gonna be as good as everybody else because marketing, you gotta be extroverted. Sales, you gotta be extroverted. And then I listened to her for a bit and I said, well, if your job is to find my brand identity, my core message as a brand, and then to understand my clients and connect my message with my clients, I want someone who is sensory. I want someone who's got intuition. I don't want all flash and colors and crazy designs. I don't want all that. I want people who can listen. I want someone who can connect and empathize. I want someone who is observant. Usually that comes with a package of introversion. Okay. And I gave her a webinar, I gave her a TED talk about how the power of introverts by Susan Cain. And she just realized what a gift introversion was. And so she started a movement on Facebook called Empathy-Led Marketing. And that's the title of her Facebook group. And then we discovered her ability to do campaigns because she had actually successfully created a campaign for cervical cancer, etc., like that. And it's influenced behavioral change, not just hoo-ha, flash colors design, but actually influenced behavioral change. And we said, every brand is actually on a campaign. Every product that they're launching, whether it's a snack, it's food, it's health products, it's electronics, they're campaigning change. So a great graphic design needs to be able to understand the psychology of human change, okay? So that's what happened to Amy. After the story brand approach, etc., she woke up to the fact that her weakness is actually her strength. And what she called herself, graphic design, is actually too small. Graphic design is only part of a campaign strategy. She actually had the brains and the experience and the proven track record to do the campaign. So Amy became a movement starter rather than just a commoditized service provider. And that's the one thing I want to help discover with you. Okay. And some of you have been struggling in the way you communicate your message. You've been trying to target too many things. This interpreter and translator, one of my recent clients, she always described herself as an interpreter translator, and she was marketing in a way that, oh, this is what I do. And I challenged her because I sensed that she was very good at what she did, and she always had repeat business, and her business was not starting up. She had a lot of experience. Now she just wants to go to the next level. But I challenge her to stop explaining to people that you're an interpreter. Start explaining to people that you are a better interpreter than the ones that they've met in the market. So we actually did this because I caught on quite late about this, and I said, wait. This story brand, we created one story brand already. I said, wait a second, this story brand that we just created is you explaining to the customer journey as an interpreter. Let's make another story brand that helps you to explain the customer journey from using an average interpreter to using you as a quality, excellent interpreter. How does that look? So we actually redid the story brand, and my programs are always outcome based, not hourly based. I don't care how long it takes, we will get it done. So even if we had to redo it, we did spend a lot longer than I expected because we had to redo it over. But that's fine, because that was the learning process we need to go through to realize that she did not understand her uniqueness. Okay. And then when I challenge her, it says, don't explain to me about interpretation service. I know what that is. I want you to explain to me how I can get out from my frustration of dealing with a bad interpreter or an average interpreter. Why are you different? So her whole story brand was all about how more customer-centric she was compared to the rest of interpreters, how she understood the topic knowledge, how she did research on what she was interpreting so that she can use the words and expressions that is familiar for that industry, not just interpreting words. Okay, so this is a great interpreter. If you need any interpreters, I'm very convinced that this lady can do a better job than any other interpreters. I'm very happy to recommend her to you. So as a result, she also came up with a better tagline, a better marketing message. So that in the end of it, this is what we call the brave marketing process. It's to create a clear message to a niche marketing audience for you. Typically, what that person, the people who would be using this is people who are self-employed and marketing yourself, your own services, not necessarily marketing a product or anything. So what we will do, what it will help you to do is basically, number one, discover your strengths, your passion, how it fits the market needs. Basically discovering your ikigai. Number two is breaking down any limiting beliefs you have, like, oh, I'm an introvert and I'm not good enough, or I haven't, I'm not better than anybody else because I didn't graduate from a hot school, things like that. You need to be in the right mindset that tells the market that you are worth the value. And then we create the customer journey. Again, it's not about you. Yeah, it's not about you. It's about what you contribute to the market and what they're going to transform because of you, how they're going to transform because of you. And then as an overall, we will create a comprehensive one-liner. And we do that at the end simply because we just need to summarize. We need to know a lot about you before we get to that point. Now, that's typically a few hours. I'd say typically about 4 to 6 hours. Okay, depending on the conversation. Some people talk more than others. Then the last session is all about, I'll wait for you. I will wait for you to be ready, put all that new messaging into your marketing assets. And then the last session is when you're ready, you contact me and I will give you objective feedback on your new marketing assets. That is the Brave Marketing package that comes with this. Okay, so we've talked about the whole idea of how to market you, how to create a customer-centric message. Now I explained to you that there is a process called Brave Marketing that can help you to do that. Some of you say, I don't want to do that. I want to do it myself. Absolutely fine. Go for it, right? And maybe you'll find a way that you can do this faster, whatever. But in my experience, if you want to save time, money, and confusion, I've dealt with clients who said that they have saved 6 to 1 year of time to do this with somebody, okay? I have personally been a client, and I have had help to do this for myself. And I want you to get closer to the life of your dreams faster. So if time and money is important to you, if getting over your self-doubt is important to you, book a complimentary 30-minute discovery call, okay? And I'm just gonna put this on the chat so that you can just click through it. But basically this discovery call is absolutely complimentary, 30 minutes, no obligations. You don't have to book any kind of packages afterwards, but it's basically to help you get over some of your confusion initially. And then what are you going to discover with it? You're going to discover what is the best next step for you. You could also discover some of your blind spots. You could discover some of your limiting beliefs about things that's preventing you from growing your business. But basically it's for everyone to use. I've put the link, the live link, on the chat, so it's easier for you, just copy and paste. And there's a calendar in there, so you know my available times and we can adjust it to the time zones. Okay, I'm going to open up the chat right now, and I'm looking at the chat right now. And you know, we've got 4 minutes. We can chit chat for a while. What have been some of the value that you got out of this webinar? What have been some of the learnings? Help me out a bit, because I want to know if I'm adding value, okay? And that's important to me because that's what I'm all about as well. Please put in the chat box, what have you learned? What are still some questions that you may have? And maybe we can have a short discussion about that. And if some of you need to leave early, please leave. It's fine. You don't have to worry about that. You'll get the recording. But if we need to spend some more time chit-chatting, I'm happy to do that as well. So please feel free. What are still some of the questions, or what are some of the takeaways that's important and important to you? I think this is a very important topic, simply because I know a lot of you have a lot to offer. And if it's only getting yourself in your own way, it frustrates me to see people not being successful fast enough, especially if you've got a good heart and you're here to serve. Okay, so feel free to put it in. Yeah, be important. It's very important to be true to yourself. Absolutely. Thank you for saying that. Yeah, and one of the things that is very important in the story brand is about connecting with your audience, connecting with your industry. Empathy is very important when you're trying to sell yourself in the service field. But what I have noticed with all the people, I was working with a counselor, therapist the other week. It was very interesting because a lot of you go into your industry and what you do, you're so good at what you do, is because of your life story. It's because you connect that. We'll connect with that. And I think it's very, very important that that's what I love about self-employed service industry, because a lot of people help others because they've been helped, because they've gone through something. So that's very good. Okay. All right. Well, it seems like everybody's got what they needed. I'll see you in the next webinar. And I want to continue on this You Marketing Essence topic here. So you get more details out of that. You get a little bit of more insight with that, because I think, again, it's a very important topic. Self-employed service professionals is really a market that I'm very passionate to serve, because kind of like I've been there, I've gone through all the struggles, and it's not easy, especially doing it by yourself initially. So anyway, so I want to end the webinar here. I'll put again the Brave Discovery link on the chat, so feel free to book that, and I'll see you in the next webinar. Bye for now.